So we have Gabby and Allie here with us at the Forey Farm to talk to us about Diabetic Alert Dogs. We have their Lulu, their Diabetic Alert Dog, here with us this morning. Sorry, my mask. Here with us this morning. Let's see if we can get a peek of. This is we don't have the best setup here to get the dog in there. Can we see her? There she is. There's Lulu, an F1 standard golden doodle from Winnie's Winnie the Pooh litter. And guess what today is?
Her birthday.
It's her birthday. It's her birthday today. So she's back home on her birthday, and home meaning her first home, of course. You guys are home. Yeah, don't want to misrepresent that. So we are here today to talk about Diabetic Alert Dogs. We have, how old are you?
13.
13. So 13-year-old. So we're going to keep that in mind as we talk about the pros and cons with a 13-year-old getting a diabetic alert dog. We're going to go through what is a diabetic alert dog, what does the training look like, what is the cost, what are considerations in getting a diabetic alert dog. And while we're doing that, of course, drop your questions on the feed, and we'll work on answering those as well. So we'll keep an eye out on our questions. I know. All right. So let's begin with, I want to show a picture of Gabby and Lulu there. Diabetic Alert Dogs. What do you need to know? So a diabetic alert dog will smell the highs and lows of your blood sugar. And where do they smell that from?
Any pores in your body?
Yeah, you're going to have to speak way louder. Poor thing's got a mask on. You'll have to hear her. Speak up louder, Gabby.
Any of the pores in your body?
Yeah, and mainly from where? Like, what's the biggest scent? Do you know? No. From her mouth and nose is where the most scent comes from. Their saliva, their breath will smell differently when they're really high or really low. Do you want to tell us what a normal range is for your blood sugar?
Anywhere between 70 and 180.
Okay, so between 70 and 180. So what we do is we train the diabetic alert dog anything under 70 or 60, right? 30, 40, 50, 30 is like really, really low, dangerously low. 40, what's the lowest you've been?
33.
33. Were you hospitalized?
No.
Jeez, but that's low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But honestly, living with diabetes, that's just something
that's the way it is. Going down
that's
to 33. Yeah. Good grief. And then what's the highest you've been?
When I was diagnosed, I was at 970.
Yeah. 970, which really, those are both deadly ranges. 970 and 33 are serious unhealthy ranges. So the diabetic alert dogs are focused on the lows and the highs. So the trainer has to teach them to the lows and the highs. Oh, you know what, Kay? Will you go see if you can find me a scent can? Can he not hear me? Jenna, go get me a scent can, please, out in the nursery. See if you can find it real quick. You know, the diabetic scent cans. I forgot to grab one before the show started. Okay, so let's go to what is diabetes. Let's see here. We're going to specifically talk about type 1 diabetes. It's a result of the body not producing insulin on its own. Taking insulin is necessary for survival to move glucose from the bloodstream into the body's cell. And I want to make a distinction here right now that it does not matter your lifestyle or how you eat. There's nothing Gabby has done or could do for type 1 diabetes. And I think there's some misinformation about that. And I've seen it on social media where, well, if you change your diet, well, if you, and people think they're funny, like, oh, here's my diabetic candy bar, or poking and making fun at just because you eat a candy bar, you're going to have diabetes or whatnot. This has nothing to do with that. It's literally the body's pancreas does not work. And so this is a disease. It's a serious medical condition. There's a lot of health risks involved. Can you share some of those with us?
Your sight, you can lose your sight. Your feet, it can mess up your feet. get them like taken off if you don't take good care of it. And
I mean, help any mom.
Yeah, I mean, it starts with your limbs. Really, is what the concern is. You could lose your limbs from not taking care of it. You can pass out from just a smaller, less severe instance. You know, there when Gabby goes low, the side of her face is tingly, and her tongue kind of feels tingly. So there are just different short-term effects, but then there are also long-term effects that can affect the rest of your life, if not affect your quality of life or life.
If you're not kept in healthy ranges.
Right.
So that's the important thing with diabetes. A lot of people live healthy, normal lives, but it's a constant monitoring of your insulin levels. And you've got you want to show us what you have there? Yeah, I know. There you go. So that automatically gives you insulin.
no, that one sends.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, this one sends my blood sugars to my phone.
Okay, so that one tracks it for you. That's right. Okay, and then you administer the insulin with the shot. Sorry, it's been a while since I've been on.
She has a pump.
She has her
so
pump.
She has
okay.
something else that
gives her insulin.
Yes.
Okay, so for clarification, she has something in her arm. What do you call that?
It's called a Dexcom.
The Dexcom. That will then give her numbers on her phone, so letting her know when she's out of her healthy ranges. And then she has her pump on her, which then will just automatically give you insulin when her body needs it. So why do you need a diabetic alert dog? If we have this technology that's pushing information to our phone now, that's automatically giving us insulin. I mean, this is not the way it used to be. So why would somebody want a diabetic alert dog? So we're going to talk about that, the pros and the cons of having a dog. You know, it's not always as fairyland as it may seem, right? We're going to talk with Mom about that so that we can help educate you. If you're thinking about getting a diabetic alert dog, what's the pros, what's the cons? I will say the benefit is that their nose can detect the highs and the lows dropping faster than the glucometer or the Dexcom can. So Lulu's nose may catch it. The Dexcom hasn't registered yet because she's smelling it already before it can be registered. So that is the golden ticket to the dog's nose. Has she done that for you? Has she caught your highs and lows before your Dexcom did?
Yeah, or like if my Dexcom's not working, she'll do it, and then I wouldn't have known if I wouldn't have had her.
Because the other part of it is that as you have diabetes longer, you
don't feel it.
Yeah,
so you don't feel the highs and lows. Like if you or I that don't have diabetes had a 30 or a 500-600 blood sugar, we would feel horrible. But the more that their body goes through that, the less they feel it, which is really, really dangerous because they don't even know. And you'll hear a lot of adults saying, I don't even know when I'm high and low anymore. I don't feel it like I used to. So having the dog there saying, hey, you're high or you're low can save your life. Or sleeping. We've had lots of dogs. Has she woken you up sleeping yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's woken you up.
She either wakes me up or if I don't wake up, she barks at my door until my mom comes.
So she'll bark and let you know, hey, we're high or we're low. Usually low at night, right?
Right.
So usually the low. So what does she do? How does she tell you that your blood sugar is high or low?
She'll sit down and then she'll put her paw on my leg. And sometimes when I'm high, she'll like nudge me with her nose so it kind of like differentiates which one I am so that it's easier for me to do something about it.
So she'll let you know kind of high or low.
And that wasn't even training. That was just her instinct.
Yeah, okay.
That's just something that we have noticed. That she's just really in tune with Gabby. And so, that to me is the best part about it. And there's been times since we've had Lulu that the Dexcom has said that she's in range and Lulu's alerting and saying, no, we're like, check it out. And she's not in range. I mean, so we do rely heavily on the technology, but it's still technology.
It's one more tool. And I cannot stress this enough with the diabetic alert dog. It cannot be your end all be all. They're still a being. We all make mistakes. None of us are perfect, from the breeder, from the dog, to the trainer, to the owner. And so along the way in creating this connection and building this team, it takes all of us. And then it takes us all to realize we all have imperfections, and none of this process is perfect. It can be a little messy as well sometimes. But, of course, the goal is that Gabby not only has this dog to catch her highs and lows, but then you have a companion. Has she helped with that?
Yeah.
Like a best friend, and because you probably feel, I hear, and you could share your experience, that you sometimes feel like an outcast, or you're off checking your blood sugar ranges, and the kids at the party are eating pizza and ice cream, and you're too high and you can't eat that, so that there are many times you're not able to participate in the same way. Mm-hmm. Have you found that to be true with diabetes?
Yeah.
Yeah. And has Lulu helped with that?
Yeah, so like if I'm high, she'll come and like lay on my lap and just snuggle me until I feel better, and then whenever I get up, she'll just come with me and just make sure I'm okay.
As a mom, that's my favorite part. Honestly, I love the relationship that they have. I've seen Gabby come out of her shell because of Lulu. Just the training and that confidence that has given Gabby as well, and Lulu and them growing together as a team. It makes me teary-eyed right now. That is my favorite part. She's just changed Gabby's whole, her whole emotional state after having diabetes. It was devastating, and Lulu's just brought that life back. So that's my favorite part.
The companionship, the healing power of a dog. So not only are these diabetic alert dogs helping medically, but they're helping so much emotionally, especially for our tweens and teens and our younger children who are navigating this life, who are faced with some difficulties when trying to sleepovers. Mm-hmm. Like has she had a sleepover? Because that's always a big thing.
Yeah, so she's had a sleepover, but we have rules, like you
have so complicated.
You have to be in range, like a good range, not just a skating by range, like a good range for X amount of days before you can go. She does have friends, one good friend that has diabetes as well, so that's really nice because we can trust each other that way, but that's not always the case. And then also you have to take into consideration the activities that they're doing while they're there, and how that's going to affect her blood sugar as well. And it makes the child so have to grow up so quickly, just become so mature, because they have to make all those decisions about their health.
Yeah, because it can just be adrenaline dump can make your sugar go out crazy. So an excitement of a party or going to an amusement park or normal things that we don't have to think about can completely change their days. So it's constantly having to factor in what are the activities, how has she responded to that in the past, right? And then, of course, food is a consideration because your body's not processing it correctly. That's all it comes down to. And so having to configure all of that, it's exhausting. I mean, our type 1 diabetic moms and dads are truly, my hat's off to you. The sacrifices and the worry. I mean, it's hard enough to be a parent and all the things we worry about, but then to hear and see children dying at night in bed because their sugar is so low, and that constant worry and fret. I don't think you guys have ever slept a full night since you've had her.
It's true.
It's true. It's like having a newborn all the time. Yes. The worry and the checking and the monitoring and the watching. So having now Lulu, who will let you know, how does that make you feel?
I just can't say enough great things about Lulu. I mean, I love that. It melts my heart when she does that. And again, that connection that she has with Gabby, being a teenager, she doesn't always want to listen to her mom. So there is Lulu who's telling her, hey, Gabby, check your blood sugar. It's not, hey, Gabby, check your blood sugar coming from me.
It's not mom nagging.
Right. So that's really nice. That makes me chuckle as a mom when I see that happen. And I just, it's just, like you said, it's just an added tool that we're giving Gabby the best quality of life that we can.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about some of the bad parts of it and some of the considerations and the cost and the training and all of that fun stuff. Let's see what my slide says. All right, so what is a diabetic alert dog? We've talked about that. It's a service dog specifically trained to detect the highs and lows of someone's blood sugar many times before the glucometer will. Looking at the type of puppy is really, really important. You know, there are certain breeds that are better for this type of work than others. Number one, we have to honor the integrity of the breed of the dog, their workability, their nose awareness, their trainability. You know, you don't want a guard dog and then you go out in public, you know, like German Shepherds are amazing, but may not be the best diabetic alert dog because they are built and born and raised to guard. And so if you had, for example, your diabetic passes out and then the German Shepherd doesn't allow aid to help, that's a problem. So considering all of these things is really important in choosing the right breed first and foremost for diabetic alert dog work. So labs, Labradoodle, Golden Retrievers, Golden Doodles are some of our favorite mixes just due to the integrity of the breed. So, you know, they came to me, of course, for a Golden Doodle. Then it's not just any puppy can do it. You know, it comes from choosing the right parents. This is on the breeder. The health testing. You don't want to place a $25,000 dog with a family that you have done no work on ensuring this is the healthiest dog it possibly can be, because the risk is so high, not monetarily and emotionally. And while we can't guarantee everything, I mean, life happens. Things happen. There's so many things we can't test for, so many things we can't test for us humans. We have to still do the best we can do. And then beyond that, it is choosing the right puppy. So tell everybody, you followed in her journey from the beginning, from birth. We knew we were choosing a diabetic alert dog from this litter. Of course, always letting clients know. I mean, I felt very comfortable with the size of the litter, that we would get a puppy that would work for them. But tell me about your experience and journey of following her the 8 weeks.
That was really just a wonderful experience. We felt connected to the entire litter really before we even knew which one. So when we were like at home trying to say, we were totally relying on you and your expertise because we had no clue, obviously.
Right, and there's no way we could.
Right.
I cannot impress this enough. There is no way a breeder should know or allow someone to choose, especially a diabetic alert dog, based on a picture, like the first week, the second week, the third week, the fourth week, the fifth week, the sixth week, not until they're at least 49 days old and we can do puppy evaluations. So there was no way they knew which one it was going to be. So they just were watching and waiting.
Yeah, so we followed along on Facebook and through the pictures that you had in the album. So we kind of fell in love with all of them and their different personalities, just watching them grow up and just thinking about, you know, one of these is going to be, you know, Gabby's diabetic alert dog. So that was really a unique experience. And that's what made it even better, because not knowing which one of those puppies we were going to get, we would have been happy with any of those puppies. So that was really a different take. I had looked at other programs for getting a diabetic alert dog, and they were very different. So I really liked that because, again, it was more an added tool. I wanted Gabby to have that relationship as well.
Yeah. And we want you to be a part of it. So it wasn't just me saying, you just sit back, I'll let you know, and here's your puppy. I hope you felt that too.
Did.
Like they were a part of it. And when evaluations came out, it was, here, do we only have the one option or do we have two?
I think there were two, but
two
hers was very cut and dry. Like it was very clear that was the one, which is kind of crazy because honestly, we were like, we love all of them, but if we could choose our favorite, it would be Lulu.
It's so funny how that
Lottie
works out
at the time, but
Lottie.
It did work out.
We called her Lottie Dottie. And
better.
so her evaluation, and they got to see it. So this is so important to me. It wasn't me just saying, hey, this will be a good diabetic alert dog, or potentially a good diabetic alert dog, and this is why. I showed them, and then they got to watch all the videos of all the puppies, and they could see the difference in Lulu compared to the other puppies. And some of the things we were looking for was nose awareness. How much did she innately use her nose and want to use her nose? Those puppies that catch scent and are hard to pull away from their determination on following something, those are the dogs that save lives. Because a diabetic alert dog, something we don't think about, is one of the few service dogs that have to work without a written or not, or written, yes, without a written command, without a verbal or nonverbal command, with some kind of movement like a seizure response. The seizure is the command, right? There's no command. The dog has to work on its own. It has to be catching that scent. It's not, we're not telling it, go open the door, go turn off the lights, pull me up from a sitting position. Seizure response, when someone has a seizure, the movement of the body, and what happens is the clue and the command for the dog to move forward and do what they're supposed to do. There isn't one for Lulu. She has to want to innately use her nose, be good at it, and be determined enough to follow that scent and like to do it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, all of the being confident, low sight and sound sensitivity, good nerve strength. She work in a school, work out in public, anywhere Gabby goes, to the movie theater, to the bowling alley, to school, to prom, whatever, wherever she wants to take her dog. This dog needs to be able to manage that kind of stacked stress as well and not fall apart, because she has to be there constantly smelling. Is there other things you found that she loves to smell or gets distracted by?
I don't know. What do you think,
Do you
Gabby?
think? Or
She
just in
loves hot
general?
dogs.
She loves
So
they
she
all,
does.
yeah.
She sniffs around. We have a big backyard that she will go at the woods, and she just loves to
smell.
explore. Right? Yeah. I mean, when she in her free time, that's what she would love to do. So
in her free time, she just wants to smell. That sounds like a good diabetic alert dog. Something they really, really enjoy. It's not the most tender-hearted puppy or the most superhuman focused puppy. That's not what I need. I need the most nose-focused, driven puppy. That's the puppy that will save lives. So then you got your videos. I said this is the puppy I recommend. You guys make the final call. This is, after all, their dog, their money, their time, their love. So they chose their puppy. Now we work with Norton Dog Training, and they have I think a great option where you take your puppy home. They do the puppy raising, and when she's ready to go back and get her public access certification and her diabetic scent training, she goes back to training. So tell me about that process a little bit.
So we had worked with them. Once we knew we were looking for a diabetic alert dog, we reached out to you. We reached out to Norton. And then we came and picked up the puppy, obviously, brought her home. I really enjoyed that being the option because, again, it was more bonding time. It was us raising her, us teaching her, us getting familiar with her home. And so then when she was old enough, about 5 months old, then we flew her back out here to do her training with Norton.
Yeah, and this is a great option for families too, because it does save you money as well. You're not paying a trainer to puppy raise. You guys did the puppy raising. You did the exposure, continuing to make sure she knew the world was safe and people are kind and dogs are friendly, continuing to build her confidence and make sure you don't backslide. But as far as obedience and stuff, there's not a bunch of pressure put on you guys. Just raise a nice puppy and then bring them back to training. And a good trainer will take care of everything else for you. They'll fine-tune the obedience. They'll fine-tune. She was a barker, kind of, right?
Yeah.
She was kind of a barker. Did Norton take care of that a little bit?
Yeah,
a little bit.
She's still a barker.
She's still a barker.
But not out in public.
Not at work. Just at home, on her free time.
Right,
She'll bark and let everybody know what's up. Well, good. As long as she can distinguish that, too. So there's always setbacks. Again, there's no perfect dog. And I know when I recommend for a diabetic alert dog, there's no perfect puppy. So there's always well, here's your desired traits that we see in her, and this could potentially be an obstacle. But what's so important is you have a breeder that knows what you need, you have a trainer that knows how to train, and then you have a family that's committed and ready to put in the work too, because it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy. They took their puppy home. You guys are in Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah.
So Dad drove, because I didn't meet you guys here. Dad drove all the way from Pennsylvania to pick up the puppy. Then you guys got the dog back to Vegas for training and back
all during
home.
a pandemic.
All through COVID.
Right.
That's right. All through COVID. And then you guys are back in town today because it's her first birthday. This litter family has been incredibly close, and they're throwing a first birthday party tomorrow with all of the siblings. So that's exciting. She gets to see her siblings. All right, let's talk about some considerations. So let me just make sure we talked about everything. So there are options. It depends on the trainer and the program too. So you have to feel really comfortable with the trainer and the program. But we give the option that you can puppy raise and then take back. In fact, we prefer that, and it saves you money. And the dogs, there's no reason why the trainer has to puppy raise if you guys can. If it's something you're not willing to do, you can pay the trainer to puppy raise and then pay the trainer to do the training. So her scent training is they collect the saliva they had Gabby submit her saliva. She put cotton balls, your cotton balls in your mouth, the saliva, when she was high or low, and then put them in baggies or jars with it marked. So this is the scent. They're trained very similar to like a drug dog. It's a game. It's literally a game to them. Hey, when I smell that, I get a treat. Hey, when I smell that, I get a treat. And it helps continue motivating them to keep thinking about the scent and looking for the scent and alerting to the scent. So for them, it's literally just a game, like of hide and seek. Find the scent, then I get rewarded. So she was trained on Gabby specifically, although in general, most people smell similar, their highs and lows. Lulu would be able to alert on another type 1 diabetic. We've heard stories too where you'll be sitting next to somebody or even on the airplane and they alert and you're like, my dog's alerting on you. And they're like, I don't have diabetes. And you'll be like, maybe you should go to the doctor and check because I think you do. So very similar smells of the high and low. But what a trainer does is fine tune the low and the high. And then you guys even said Lulu's differentiating between the high and the low and alerting differently. We do recommend that dogs are trained not to bark for the high and low, because you don't want a dog barking in the middle of school or in the middle of a movie. You want it fairly quiet. The other thing is diabetic alert dogs should not jump on you to alert. It should just be a paw or she nudges into you. If Gabby's not responding, then she should escalate, which she does, right, Mom? She'll bark and she'll get more. Because all she's saying is, hey, give me my dang treat. Right. I am telling you, I smell that smell and you're not giving me my treat. And they get more frustrated and bossy. But we need that assertiveness in our diabetic alert dogs as well. That's something really, really important when looking at the evaluation, is they are very assertive. They're not afraid to say, hey, this is the smell, give me my treat. Hey, you're not waking up. I'm going to go get Mom to give me my treat then. And then over time, it becomes less about the treat and more about the person. But, you do have to pay them for their work. They will not work for free. The other consideration, too, is they are not robots. This is not a perfect dog. This is still a dog. She'll still dig. She'll still maybe have an accident. She'll still maybe chew up her shoes, right? Like, it is still a dog. And I think we have this idea that when you get a service dog, that it's like perfectly behaved. And I don't know that we would want that either, right? I mean, we want, and Lulu is still young, at a year old. She's working as a diabetic alert dog. You can absolutely find programs where they'll train a dog till they get a little bit older, and then there's some less puppiness. But then there's pros and cons to everything. More money, of course. Or two, you lose some of that initial time to bond with an adolescent dog, which so many people really do prefer. So those are things you have to weigh when looking at a program or a trainer, is what is the age the dog is at upon placement. The younger they are, the more work for you. They have to do the follow-up training. Let's talk about some other considerations here. We'll pull some over. All right, the age of the child and diagnosis date. So the younger the child, of course, the more the responsibility on the family, if they're a lot younger. And then we usually say, too, you should never get a diabetic alert dog within the first year of the diagnosis. Why would that be?
Just because there's so much to learn for you and the diabetic, your whole family, really. And it's, honestly, I call it my year of first. Like, you're grieving all of these things that used to be your normal that are now a different normal. So I feel like that is overwhelming in itself. I wouldn't recommend getting just a puppy in general in that time. You really have to focus. This is your child's life that you have in your hands.
Yeah, and you guys are spending time and learning how to live with this new disease,
Right.
and calculating insulin and tracking blood sugars, and it is incredibly overwhelming.
Yeah.
And then you're tired and you're trying to calculate, and so much. So you want the diabetes to not feel so new in your house, that you feel like we really, other than it being normally unpredictable,
Right.
for the most part, we feel very comfortable living with this, that we could take on more responsibility. Like, that is so, so important. When people contact me and they say, my child just got diagnosed, we need a dog, I say, contact me in 1 year, please. Trust me that you are not ready. I need you to adjust to this life and your child and all the pokes and all the, everything, before bringing in a dog that does require a lot of work. Okay, number 2, let's look at other animals in the home. This is definitely a consideration. It's not an end-all be-all if you have a dog in the home that you can't get a diabetic alert dog, but these are definitely considerations. If you have an ill-behaved dog at home, a dog that is fearful or some kind of bad behavior, it could affect or influence your diabetic alert dog. The other consideration is making sure the family knows this is not a pet. You'll ruin all of the money and time spent if you treat your service dog like a pet. Can you talk to us about that a little bit and how that's been?
One thing is Lulu always is with Gabby. She has time off where she'll hang out with me, but she's always with Gabby. If Gabby's upstairs, Lulu's upstairs. So that Gabby takes care of her. She feeds her. She brushes her. She does all of those things with her. So that bond is there. Now, my other children, they do play with her and interact with her, but it's very important for her to know that she has to listen to Gabby, and that she's there for Gabby.
Yeah, because if, let's say, her sister was always playing with her and always feeding her table scraps and treats, guess what Lulu's going to do? They're not dumb. She's going to say, Mom makes me work and be in a downstate and makes me focus, right? And sister, it's a party.
Right.
Who do you think Lulu's going to want to be with? I don't think we need to answer that, do we? No, we do not. We're not. They're not dumb. So it's making sure that whoever the owner is, unless the child is small, then a lot of the responsibility is on the parents. That's something to consider. If your child is young, a lot of this responsibility is on you. It's like having another child tethered to you, hooked to you. Gabby's old enough that Gabby takes care of almost all of the dog responsibility, the brushing, the follow-up training, the caring for, the picking up poop.
Yes.
Yeah. The picking up poop, the feeding, all of that responsibility is on her.
List.
It's on her cons list. Like, dang it, this thing poops. Where was this in writing before I agreed to this, right? Okay, good. Let's talk about some other considerations. What else do we have? Number 3, time to participate. You need to make sure you have the time to participate in follow-up training and scent work. It is estimated, depending on the age, there's lots of considerations in this, but just to give you a rough idea, that 25% of the training goes out the window upon placement, because the dog was with a professional trainer. This dog was at Norton Dog Training, where they know how to manage and handle. They keep them on a structures. They don't allow the misbehavior. They're professionals, right? They're professional dog trainers. Are you a professional dog trainer? No. So you see, then moving them into a home, there's going to be, no matter what, some backslide on the training. So what's important is you understand that that's going to happen. You're committed and ready to spend the time to, adjust and learn through that uncomfortableness of, holy heck, we have a dog. You puppy raised too, so it wasn't as big of a shock for you to then have a dog. But then things will need to be fixed a little bit, and you have to follow up on the scent training. You still have to continue to run little training sessions with the scent can, practicing the highs and lows, practicing it in different places. How was that for you?
Well, we have like 4 containers, and then we put the scent in one of them, and then she goes around to all of them, and then stops at the one that has the scent in and pulls it. And that's how we do scent training with her, and then we'll just do it like in the kitchen or in the living room or in my room, like different spots around the house, so that she gets used to just doing it everywhere.
Yeah, good. So helping her and making her distinguish between, she has different cans and only one has a scent in it. So she has to target the one can. She gets rewarded. It's keeping her skills sharp and making sure that she doesn't get lazy. One thing that happens with diabetic alert dogs is they kind of outsmart the program, and they think if they paw, they get a treat. So you have to make sure, especially in the beginning when she paws, you do follow up and make sure that you're actually high or low, because they're going to push and see, can I get a treat by just pawing, and mom's not going to check if she's high or low. Do you see how this can mess things up really, really bad? And before you know it, they're just pawing at you all the time to get a treat, and it has nothing to do with the scent. So if you're not following up, it's just kind of like you tell your kid, go clean your room, and you don't go check, they're going to stop doing it when you tell them to do it. Does that make sense? And so making sure that you keep them fine-tuned is so, so important. And that work is on you guys.
And I think up front, when she first came home, we enjoyed training with her, but it was more than we, I guess, realized. So that was one thing that we had to kind of take those reins from the Nortons and say, okay, now we need her to do this for us. So there is a little transition period, but I feel like in the long term, again, that just working with her, that just makes her a better working dog, which is what we got her for.
Right. And again, that triangle between breeder and trainer and owner is what will make this successful. If you don't have that communication between all three, and you all don't know what you're doing, or that you're all dedicated and committed to this, then it's either incredibly difficult or it will not work. And so making sure that they're able to have that follow-up with Norton Dog Training to say, okay, what am I doing? Lulu's doing this now, and that he's able to help with those adjustments is incredibly important. So follow-up training you have to consider. It takes time. Oops, that's the wrong one. It takes time. Where did my thing go? Which one is it? Here we go. Okay, working with schools to prep for dogs' attendance. So thinking about where the dog will be for the most of the time of their life, you have to make sure that is set in place. What was your experience with working with the school? And I know with COVID it's a little different, but in general.
It is different. And I have kind of a unique experience because I work in the school district that we go into, so I have I feel more comfortable. So that's why I think that's important for people to understand, because even though I had a comfortable situation, I still have to address it. I think just being upfront with them, this is what's happening. It's your right. It's covered under the Disability Act for you to bring the dog to school. So just understanding, though, that it is a dog coming to their school, and that the kids can't play with it. It's not a therapy dog. It can't be a class dog. So just kind of prepping the school for that situation that's coming up. And right now, Gabby is at school learning online. But she will go back next year. So we've already started communicating with the school. This is what's happening. They have they're really good about it. Our district, we've had good experiences with it. But I don't think that's always the case. So I think just preparing yourself, having your ducks in a row, making sure that you're ready to have that conversation first, and then see how it goes from there.
Yeah. And then, last week we talked about school facility dogs and some of the considerations in a school. Lulu's going to have those same considerations. What about when the fire alarm goes off? They're going to have to do some desensitization training through some of the school environment stuff. Being in an auditorium, the gym, with noise and balls bouncing and the echoing can be a lot for a dog. The fire alarm, just the bell every hour, assemblies, the hallway, the crowd, the commotion, the energy. And then keeping her safe from kids constantly grabbing and touching. If they're constantly distracting her, this is why they have on the vest, do not pet. It's not because the dog is mean, because it means do not be selfish and distract this dog from doing what they're supposed to do. Because if you're petting her and loving on her and baby talking her, two things are going to happen. One, she's going to miss her high and low. You're distracting her from working. Two, every time she takes her out, her dog is now going to look to everybody. Are you going to pet me? Hey, are you going to pet me? Hey, you, or you, or you. And they get excited and they're looking at everybody as a reward. And then again, they're not focused on the scent and focused on their owner. This is why we do not touch dogs that are service dogs. If they are vested, leave them alone. Don't feel sorry for them. Don't pity them. Don't sit there and make rude comments about, oh, I wish I could pet you, but I'll get in trouble. Stop it. They're working dogs. She's working to save her life. They are not abused. They are not overworked. They are so well loved and well cared for. And you guys take that into account that she's a dog.
Yeah.
So what free time does she get during the day? What does that look like for her?
Well, when I do classes online, I have her lay down so that when I go to school, she'll know that she needs to lay there the whole time.
Okay. Like she's doing now. I'll show you.
Yep.
She's doing her job right now. Oops.
That's it.
There she is, being a good girl. Nice and calm, laying next to mama. Okay, what else? What other free time and
then,
silly
like,
dog time?
between classes, we'll like play with one of her toys. Or after that, we'll go outside and she can just run around and sniff the ground, like do whatever she wants outside.
Eat
So
a
that
stick.
she can like,
She loves a good stick.
so that she just has her own free time, just do whatever she wants, just play.
Because they
Get her
can't
energy out.
work 24/7. Nobody can. And so there's times they do need to sleep clearly. There's times they need to be a dog and play and sniff and chew on sticks and do all of that. It's tough to ask them to work during the day and then work at night. So that's a consideration with diabetic alert dogs. Not all of them can. Sometimes we definitely, not sometimes, we would love them to be able to work 24/7, but they can't always. So the goal is to make sure they get a lot of rest during the day as well, so that they are alert enough. They're not so tired at night that she'll wake up with that scent as well. And that was part of her training, doing night alerts, right? What does that look like?
Well, she'll just paw me, and then if I don't wake up, she'll like either lay on top of me or she'll lick my face. And then if all of that doesn't work, then she'll just bark. And then when my mom comes in, she'll come sit by my bed and wait until she does something about it.
Okay.
And when she's not sleeping, like to practice for that, like Gabby will pretend like she's
Okay,
sleeping.
good. That's what I was,
That's something that we continue to do with our training with Lulu.
They have to pretend. You have to set the dog up for the situation. So she has to pretend like she's sleeping in bed. Then she has to practice the alerts in the bed or go and get mom. That's called a go and tell. They can be trained for our younger kids as well. That, hey, the treat never comes from the kid. If your child's young, really young, so if you have a 3 or 4 year old and the child's not able to really be the handler, the dog is actually trained to always do a go and tell. So really the kid is a walking little indicator for treats, right? And when that kid smells a certain way, your child smells a certain way, it's go get mom for the treat, go get dad for the treat. So it's a go and tell rather than on that they're not pawing on the child or, of course, knocking them over or anything like that. It is really important that the dog is well behaved and they know how to do their alerts where they're sitting politely and pawing or laying. But eventually, if Gabby's not waking up, we do want them to get a little more intense in their alert because it's going to save her life. So, okay. Did we cover all the training good, Allie, I think?
I think so,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, trainer and breeder ability and success. We talked about this a little bit already, and I know Barbie's on here too, and she says, I'm getting trainer burnout. I can't find a trainer near me that's familiar with dad training. So
it's a problem. It really is
problem.
because most organizations, it'll be an organization and they want you to use their dogs and they want you to, and they do a wonderful thing.
Right.
It's just a different experience. But so they have that all set up, all their ducks in a row. But for you to come in and then try to find that second half, which is the trainer, that is really few and far to come from. I mean, we had a really hard time finding
You came
someone.
from Pennsylvania, for crying out loud.
Yes.
And how did you find me?
On Good Morning America.
Good Morning America. I saw you on Good Morning America. We had our Diabetic Alert Dog on there. So thank you, Good Morning America, for making this connection because
Yes.
you couldn't find, and then a lot of the organizations, what are the other downfalls? The wait time's really high, right? Like years.
2 years.
2 years plus. And we
Yeah.
do give, my mission and my focus is working dogs. So we give priority picks for our service dogs, facility dogs. Of course, you have to provide documentation and whatnot to get those top picks. But then we get that, and then we've got the trainer lined up, and it was fairly smooth for you, that whole process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was really nice. I really enjoyed it because, like I said, I had looked at other organizations, and this was so different than what anybody else was offering that I just was like, this is it.
In what ways?
Just the connection that you make with the individuals. I think that is lacking in other places where it's not here. I felt you were always involved. I could always ask you questions, and sometimes I almost felt annoying because I was just like, okay, what about this? I know the puppies are 2 weeks old, but do we have one picked yet?
I know. You're so excited, you can't help it.
Right. So that was really nice. We just felt like we extended our family. I mean, just through this whole process, which is very different than any other program that I had seen.
So just a little more impersonal, and just here's your dog, and you'll have 3-day training with them, and that's it.
Right. Or it's a time commitment. There was another program that we looked at, and again, they have stipulations on the dog that you can use, and then you have to commit to every Thursday for the next year. And I'm like, oh my goodness, how am I going to take my 13-year-old every Thursday an hour away to train this dog? So. Yeah, it just...
And with technology today, you can get on the phone or get on Zoom and explain what's happening, and hopefully the trainer can walk you through it. Right. If all else fails, reasons why we choose, Norton Dog Training is he'll take the dog back and fine-tune and train and send her back out. But we have found there's so many things that make that less likely, and it's the right puppy, evaluating and getting the right puppy, and then the right trainer that knows. And then if he knows the dog really well, he already knows the pros and cons and the potential problems you're going to have, and he can walk you through that over the phone or Zoom or whatnot. So having that follow-up is really important. Barbie, we hope you find somebody. If not, bring your puppy back to Norton Dog Training. You not only have to have a good trainer, but you have to have someone that knows how to do the diabetic alert. And while it seems easy, and a lot of it is really just scent work, it can be more complicated because we have to make sure they're distinguishing the scent. And what we have seen, unfortunately, in this line of business is the dog is pawing, like we talked about before, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're high and low. And if you're not checking or don't know to check, your dog's getting sloppy, and you're kind of ruining your dog because it's not going to be fine-tuned to the true highs and lows. So, good morning, Nadeline. I know Nadeline has Bailey, Norton Dog Training, trained to be her seizure response dog. So, all right, which one's next? Another consideration, money, of course, and then we'll go into self-train. So money is, a big consideration with this kind of investment. Not only do you have to buy the puppy, or it depends on the organization you go to. Sometimes it's all one package deal. But the things you have to think about is the level of training you want, how much you're willing to do at home, kind of a starter dog to get things started like Lulu, or a fully trained dog is usually not till they're 2 years old, but the cost is absolutely going to reflect that. When you're paying somebody every single day to train, clean up after them, groom them, feed them, medical expenses, you're going to pay for that. So trying to find that balance that makes them affordable, but giving them a really solid foundation, that there's minimal, for the most part, like she knows what she's doing. Right. It's your job to fine-tune and continue, though.
Yeah, we know she knows how to do it, so if there's a problem, it's because of us.
Usually, or sometimes they can get silly too, but you have that support. So, was that some of your consideration in coming, this route as well as priced?
Yeah, it was the timing.
Expensive.
Yeah, it was the timing. the program, I could get it started for Gabby and quicker, and I felt like Lulu would be a more established dog when Gabby's ready to go to college, and then that mom worry, I can kind of give Lulu a little bit of that. So that was a big consideration, was the timing.
All right. Yeah. And so on average, I can't speak for other programs, but on average, going through 4E kennels and Norton dog training, you're going to spend $20,000 to $25,000 on a diabetic alert dog, and that's getting the puppy and the training, the follow-up support, the whole kit and caboodle that you see here. So again, it just depends on who's doing it, the level, the age of the dog, how much training you want. But for the most part, it's one task. It's detecting the highs and lows if you lump that together. So compared to some wheelchair assist dogs where you're teaching them 4 or 5 tasks, open the door, pull me up, turn off lights, it could take longer as well. So how long, what did her training take?
About 4 months.
About 4 months
Yeah.
for the scent and
Yeah.
Okay. All right, self-trained starter puppies and fully trained. We talked a lot about that. I know that there are some programs out there that are pushing out content to train your own. I will say, however, that your chance of failure is very, very high if you're not a professional, and it just comes down to that. If you weren't trained to do this or you don't have the practice, it's going to be incredibly hard to get that dog. Not that it can't happen, but I don't want people to think that it's easy.
Yeah.
It's hard enough
Yeah.
with having a starter dog.
I think with the personality in the dog that you need to do the job too, that makes it difficult if you're not a professional, because they need to be a little bit stubborn. They need to be have that,
Sort of.
yes,
Drivey.
So I think for you
And
to
have a lot of energy.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And those are all things that Lulu has, and we definitely were struggling in the puppy. Like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh,
Holy
she's
heck, this is a terror. That's right. That's what I picked for you, a terror.
Here you go.
There you go. That's what you need in the end, to work the long hours, to have the energy, to have the assertiveness enough to tell you, hey, you're high, you're low, pay attention to me now, and not stop, to have that determination, that strong-willedness. All of that is what makes them so good at what they do. But it can be a pain in the butt initially.
Yeah.
They're not always easy to live with, and I see too when I'm making these matches, a lot of times people are more drawn toward puppies that are a little bit less than everything, and I have to have that conversation with them. Yeah, it's going to be easier to live with overall, but you're not going to get the caliber of diabetic alert that you need in the long run, so you have to decide which is more important to you. So,
Right.
yeah. Anything to add about that?
I don't think so.
No, you good? Okay. Make sure we get everything. Let's see what's next. Oh, allowing your dog to be a dog. We talked about that. They need breaks and they need to be a dog. Understanding it can be like having another child. So I know I've seen a lot of families struggle with this, and we've touched on it as well, but you're not getting a robot. You're getting a dog, and there's going to be some backslide in training, and depending on how old the dog is, it's still a puppy.
Right.
You still have a puppy, and changing your life and how long it takes to do things. I know when I was in New York and I was at Morgan's house, who has one of our diabetic alert dogs, we before COVID, so we were on Good Morning America. We went over and we went out to dinner, and Chuck, her diabetic alert dog, we're waiting to get ready, and they had to get him all ready like their child. Like, they had to get the vest on, and they had to get the leash on, and they had to get the collar on, and they had to get the boots, and they had to get. She comes with her own little bag every day, right? Like, everywhere you go, you have to make sure you have all of her stuff, the poop bags and the collapsible water bowl or wherever, depending how long you're going to be out. But like, it's like packing up another child to go anywhere. And
She had her own luggage.
She has her own luggage. She had her own suitcase. Have you found that to kind of be a tough adjustment? Just a change, and it's not just you getting ready. You got to get Lulu ready, right?
And
Do you match outfits?
We did once because
We
I
did
wear
once.
her vest is like friends themed, and I have
It's
a
so
shirt
cute.
that's friends themed, and I wore it, and then I forgot that her vest was like that, so then we were just
You're like, we're
matching.
matching. Yeah. Got the Friends theme vest, which is fun. There's a lot more back when 10 years ago, there was like a red vest. All of them wore a red vest, and now they're getting all cute on Pinterest and Etsy, and they've got a friend theme vest. I've seen the Grey's Anatomy theme vest are super fun and cute, so you can have fun with that too. But there is a consideration, like, it's like having another child, thinking about what they need and packing all their stuff and taking care of their needs. And did they poop yet? Did they eat? they have diarrhea today. What should I bring them? Should I not bring them? You know, I mean, they're a dog.
Yeah. And the gear itself. I mean,
gear.
you have to be willing to invest in their future, their gear, their health, their veterinary care. I mean, those are all considerations. I mean, with the dog, but
Anyway, but especially a
right.
service dog, you're asking her to work, and yeah, so good points. They all have to be groomed, but a service dog probably even more quickly, keeping her a little bit shorter and cleaner because she's out in public and all over the place. The gear, the vest, the collar, the leash, the boots, whatever you need for her, and her medical expenses as well, ensuring, and her nutrition, that she is as healthy as possible. So definitely. Then one other consideration is when you do go out in public, how often you get stopped.
Oh my goodness.
Can you go anywhere without being the star?
Without Lulu being the
Without
star.
Lulu being the star. Without Lulu having her own paparazzi. So explain what that's been dealing with the public, though. Be honest.
Well, I don't care a lot of the time because she is cute, so people like stop to say that she's cute, or some people ask to pet her, and sometimes I let them pet her, but if she's like doing something, it's just annoying when somebody comes up and asks to pet her when they
She's
can
working,
see
right.
that she's doing something.
You can see that they're communicating and you're
Or
interfering.
that you're sitting there
Right.
checking your blood
Right.
sugar, and
Right.
she's right there, you know, a part of that, and people are interrupting.
Yeah. So it's just, it can be annoying sometimes just because, like, she's trying to do what she was meant to do and they just get in the way of it.
Have you had instances of people being mean about you bringing your dog?
Well, we went out to eat once and there's this lady who just, like, stared at us, like, the whole time we were eating, like it was uncomfortable just to sit there and have her watch, like, us eat, just because Lulu was she was just laying on the ground. She wasn't doing anything, but it was just uncomfortable for her to stare at us, like, the whole time. Or people were just, like, when we were walking past, they'll just, like, put their hand out in front of her so that she'll, like,
Acknowledge them.
and that they can pet her without, like, having to ask.
Yeah. Quit doing that. Do not interfere with a service dog. It happens all the time. And when you sit in their life and see, they're just trying to go out to dinner. You know, they just are a family going out to dinner. They don't need all the extra commotion or attention, or especially, I know, because, you know, I've trained service dogs too, and I take them out, and I cannot believe how disrespectful people are. And they'll just come up and start petting the dog, or grab the dog, or make noises to get the dog's attention. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, do you think you're that important? Stop it. Just ignore the dog. No touch, no talk, no eye contact. Keep walking. Mind your own business with service dogs. Please, I cannot stress that enough. It's not that the dog wouldn't like the attention. It's that you are truly interfering with their job, and someone's life is at stake, truly. So please, please, please. I really feel like most of my viewers know this, so I know I'm just preaching to the choir, but continue spreading awareness to keep our service dogs safe and healthy and working correctly. The other thing is, too, bringing your dog out in public and misrepresenting it as a service dog has long-lasting ill effects. Stop doing that, because what happens then, if you bring your dog, not a service dog, pretending to be a service dog out in public, and it attacks Lulu, now we have a problem this family will have to fix, and that is not fair. So keep your dogs at home unless they are truly certified, have had their public access training, are safe to go out in public, will lay underneath the table at a restaurant and leave you alone. Leave them alone, you know? And so I cannot stress that enough. Anything you want to add, Mom, about that? Because you get to see a lot of this.
Yeah, I feel like also when you're doing that, when you're misrepresenting your dog, then you're giving the service dogs a bad name, and you know.
And she's getting glared at.
Right, and you're dealing with my 13-year-old now.
Yeah.
So then the mama bear comes out. So it's just, I think that that's unfair to, you know, not just us, but anybody who has a service dog, because you feel automatically like people are judging you, like, oh, that's not a real service dog.
Right.
When we take pride in how well behaved she is in public. So
And you've worked so hard.
right.
And you've paid so much for that.
Right.
Like, this is not just something to be taken lightly for. So I'm sorry, you do not have the right to take your dog with you into public if it is not a truly trained service dog. A service dog is defined and protected under the ADA, the Americans Disability Act, that she is allowed to have this dog because, one, it does help her mitigate a disability. Now, she does not have to ever disclose what that disability is, nor should she have to. Number two, the dog has been trained specific tasks to help her mitigate this disability, in which the dog has been. It will alert to her highs and lows, therefore helping her be healthy. And so, having an emotional support dog is not the same. A dog that's not trained to truly function as a service dog, mitigating and trained in specific tasks to help their handler, then that dog should not be out in public, period, because it does influence the dog's ability to work and a family, it's yeah.
I also think just to tell everybody to just, if they see a service dog or somebody like you said, there's still a dog. I mean, Lulu had an accident in Target. So it happens. I mean, she was nervous. So just giving that handler a little bit of grace there, if you see someone that maybe their service dog isn't acting the best, they still have moments too, just like your kid might throw a tantrum in, the grocery store. You have no control over that. You're doing the best you can. You see that we're correcting the situation or trying to work through the situation. That's just my public service announcement to everybody.
True.
Just have a little grace.
Just keep walking and mind your own business. It doesn't concern you. You're fine. Just keep going, right? Kindness is a good thing. All right, tell us anything else about, so she's pooped in Target. Get that out of the way. What else has she done? Go ahead and rat her out. Tell us about your service dog. She chewed up any of your shoes yet?
No, she did chew a pair of my leggings, though.
She would pair your leggings.
Yeah.
She loves a good stuffy to
She'll
tear apart.
tear apart the stuffy.
Or a sock. Any sock is victim to Lulu.
Oh boy.
Dryer sheets. She
Dryer
loves a good
sheets.
dryer sheet.
Okay. All right, Lulu.
She likes to just be a little bit ornery sometimes. That's just part of what we fell in love with about her, though, is she has quite the personality. She has a big personality.
And she has since she was evaluated.
Yes.
It was all very, very, you're sassy and you know it.
Right. But it fits perfectly in our family dynamic, too. So, we call her the baby brat.
Everything you know now, from selecting us for a kennels, Norton dog training, picking the puppy raising, training, getting the dog back, knowing everything you know now, is there anything, if you would have known what you know now, is there anything you would have done differently or anything you can share with others that are thinking about this journey?
Yeah, I wouldn't do anything differently, to be honest. I'm so happy with how everything went from the time that, when he was pregnant till now. I mean, we couldn't be happier. I'm so thankful. I just feel like it was kind of fate that we just fell upon that video of you on Good Morning America, and I'm in my office crying like, this is it, this is what we're doing. And so just the entire process, I can't recommend it enough. I mean, people ask us all the time, where did you get your dog from, or who trained your dog? I mean, we throw your name out in Pennsylvania all the time. I'm like, they're in Las Vegas though, so but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't do anything differently. I can't thank all of you enough for your part that you played.
It takes all of us. It takes your, determination and commitment to this as well to truly make it a success. So thank you for that. I couldn't ask for better clients.
Aww.
Truly, you guys were in it 100%.
Yeah.
What about you, Gabby? A lot of responsibilities on you. It's like you got a little kid. How have you managed with that? Is that sometimes frustrating?
Yeah, because we have like this bell, so that whenever she just go outside,
She rings the bell.
she rings the bell, but she'll like come back from inside and then she'll ring it again because she knows that if she rings it, she gets to go outside. So she just keeps ringing the bell. Like,
While Gabby's doing schoolwork.
yeah, like the whole time.
Because she knows it gets you up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do
You could
think,
take that bell off the door.
yeah, well, it's kind of cute. I'm like the typical.
It's like the
grandma.
Apple Watch, like time to get up.
Right. So yeah, I think that it's hard on Gabby, but like I try to really give Gabby some time to herself too. Like I'll take Lulu to play or walk or whatever. I think that's really important because it is. It's like having a child.
Yeah, it's a huge commitment.
Yeah,
taking
it is.
care of an animal, and then it's not just having a 13-year-old having a pet dog.
Right.
This is a huge responsibility, a lot of weight on you to make sure training is done. You manage any inappropriate, naughty behavior immediately. You know, you are that one making sure she's following the rules and doing what she's supposed to do and guiding and correcting and praising and rewarding and all of that continues to create this healthy bond between the two, because that's really what it's all about, is a very healthy, respectful bond between you both. Knowing what you know now, would you do it again? Or yeah.
She already talks about when Lulu retires. So yeah, she already talks about it. I know she loves it, and I think that work that she puts into it is so rewarding to her as well. So,
what's your favorite thing about Lulu?
I think my favorite thing is that she's just always there. Like it will always just be right there if I ever need her. She doesn't really like just leave and let me do it all myself. She sits with me and lays with me if I have to like check my blood sugar or like really anything. She'll sit there and she'll lay with me and she'll snuggle me and just be there.
No matter what.
Yeah. And that being said, Lulu's not a big snuggler, but when Gabby is low or high, Lulu is on her and becomes that snuggler and I mean, I even sent you a picture of Lulu, Gabby snuggling her on the Target floor because, their bond is amazing.
And that sense of safety and security, and your dog is there. It's hard to explain and articulate. We all have I hope you all do. I can't imagine not ever being able to experience a true innate bond with the dog at some point in your life. But then so many of us don't get to. We're thankful, though, that deep bond you have with your service dog on top of just your dog is something indescribable. The power of a dog is truly incredible, and it's been life-changing for you, would you say?
Mm-hmm.
In what ways?
Well, I don't know. It just kind of just makes you. It's just like different. It's not something I ever thought I would get to have, but now that I have it, I don't really know what I'd do without Lulu.
And I think it just gives her something else to focus on, whereas, diabetes has like pretty much everything that comes along with it is negative.
Yeah.
But now this is something positive that's put a spin on that for her.
I think the only positive part of diabetes, I don't know if many people know, but I had gestational diabetes with both of my pregnancies, so I got a tiny little taste of this disease, and the finger pricks and the constant monitoring and the food and the everything and medication is truly, all of it is negative, and it's all and then you have this dog, the one thing that's soft and gentle and positive and is there with you through it all, the highs and the lows, to be there, to be your comfort, to be your sunshine, to bring you laughter, to bring you smiles, and to be there to lick your tears as well. And that is truly priceless. Not to sound like the commercial.
No,
Priceless. There you go. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me live today.
Thanks for having us.
On her first birthday,
I know.
I'm going to take them out. We're going to peek at Winnie, who's out there, pregnant with her second litter. And we expect great things from her as well. What a phenomenal first litter that dog produced.
Yes.
Like, we have 2 service dogs in her very first litter. We have a Down syndrome assist, Danny, that he just got placed too.
Yes.
So he's working at a year, tethered to little Cameron, Down syndrome service dog. We have our Diabetic Alert Dog. And then there were several others that went through Norton Dog Training just to be trained as highly obedient, well-behaved dogs, right? Did I forget any? Just the 2 service dogs.
2 service dogs.
Okay,
Yeah,
so it's what a phenomenal
2 or 3
litter.
more went through Norton.
Yeah. phenomenal
Yeah.
litter. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'm Jeanette with 4E Kennels. We're not only changing breeding from bad to badass, but we are healing hearts and saving lives through the power of a dog. I could not be more proud of my puppies, more proud to be aligned with Norton Dog Training, and more proud of my clients that truly believe in the power of the dog in the way that we do, and are so committed to making it work, because it does take commitment and dedication, the perfect triangle, right, to make this happen. All right, everybody, have a great weekend. Bye.